I'm interested in that bit where you say, I don't want to be a controversial comedian. Just some of the things you talk about.
I don't know if it entered Michael McIntyre's WhatsApp group.
Let's talk about autism, because you seem to love talking about that.
As long as the lights stay on, I'm getting away with this.
Does it go down better in some places than others?
There's a reason Oma isn't on this tour. That's what I think is risky in stand-up. What I think is like pleasant and nice is coming across and like hurting other people. And if you could wear that to other comedian shows, that would be sick. You're dead. World exclusive for the tech to f*** up at that moment. Bash.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Vittorio Angelone!
What's the crack?
Welcome.
We're miles away.
Yeah, we're very far apart from each other, but I was kind of enjoying the boundary, to be honest. I don't know. Isn't this a bit weird? It feels like he was here the whole time, but he wasn't.
I've only just arrived. I didn't watch all of you. I didn't watch the guy walk out as soon as the horse fucking moment happened. He was like, fuck, this is about me. Fair play to whoever that was.
We'll have a kind of a relaxed chat. Are you okay? Can you see the star? You're right now. That's better for you. Yeah. I'm only a little free state fag. I swap up for the trip.
Sure, but when I call him that, it's a problem.
It's written on the back of my t-shirt, actually. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll have a chat about some of the like some kind of nerdy, geeky questions about comedy and that kind of thing, and stand-up and that kind of. I'm a stand-up as well. So
Shane's brilliant. If you haven't seen him before, he's fucking hilarious. He's absolutely class.
I'm coming here soon. I forget when. We'll look that up, please. Thank you. He's actually doing it as well. Very good. Okay, not about me. So we'll have some of that, some of the kind of, and some chats as well. We'll try and keep things. Things should be fun and light. We're not here for it. It's not like, do you know when they do a play and then the actors go, "Well, it was fascinating." We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So we will have time for your questions as well. So we'll do that. How was it for you? Because I've never watched a video of comedy with an audience. We were watching other people watch them. It was weird. And that's the closest I feel you can come to like watching your own. I mean, there's that. Yeah. Well, however you do it works, but it works for you. But it's the closest you can come as a comedian to watching your own show. Like what, you know,
yeah,
you're watching this audience watch you.
It was a combination of like nice and horrifying at the same time. It was like, oh, this is quite cool that people came out to watch this. I'm very like, spent a lot of time on the special and stuff, and it was nice to hear people enjoying it. But then, have you ever heard your voice recorded? Imagine an hour of like, what the fuck? Why does my body move in that weird way that it moves? You know what I mean? And my girlfriend was making fun of me the other day. I like showed her some bits of it, and she was like, "Do you want me to do an impression of you in the special?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, this is it. It doesn't even have any words. This is the impression." You're a dickhead. Things I know I have to address, and that's a problem. I think it's good. Listen, we're pitching it to Netflix. What are we talking about?
That's very good. Well, I was thinking, I was like, looks like I must get a little Vittorio going. I feel like I could do one. Not now, I'll save it up, I'll work on it. I was going to ask you kind of more fun stuff to begin with, but I'm interested in that bit where you say, I don't want to be a controversial comedian, and you talk about being a progressive comedian. And just some of the things you talk about. Nazis. Paedophiles. Women, but you know what I mean. Neurodivergence, gender, gay cupboards, thank you, and trans people. These are all things you touch on. The thing. Why are you so drawn to all that stuff?
I don't think women or trans people are controversial, Shane.
Me neither, but you know what I mean. In the context.
Like if somebody's upset by something one of these offensive comedians says, the offensive comedian's always like, "Well, go fuck yourself. You're too woke. You're a snowflake. I'm sick of this. This is my free speech. I can say whatever I want. I don't care if you're upset. I'm never apologizing." What? If anyone in this room has been upset by anything I've said over the course of the show, I am honestly, from the bottom of my heart, incredibly sorry. I wanted all of you to have a good time. And if you didn't, soz. My bad. I was the only one talking. It's interesting, yeah, it does feel like a who's who of like, sort of the zeitgeist of like famous but bad comedians on Netflix sort of like hit all these topics in the same way. And I guess that was part of the thinking of trying to, particularly with the trans stuff, do jokes that aren't cunty about that. Not, and it... Sorry. It's such an alt venue and everyone who works here is non-binary. And just for the tech to fuck up at that moment, it's so crazy.
Don't fuck with the gender non-conformists in the tech booth. Don't do it.
They all control the lights and sound. Every venue on the whole tour had like somebody queer in the tech department at some point, and it was every time I did it, it was like, as long as the lights stay on, I'm getting away with this. But that was the thing of like, because it's hard to talk about in a way that isn't the exact same thing that the sort of nastier, like, bully comedians would talk about the trans stuff, where it's like, we want them to feel included in the comedy because we make jokes about everybody. But then you hear their jokes about like their friends, and they're like, oh, you know, he's got so much money that like you know, he's a wanker, isn't he? And then with trans people, it's like, well, they shouldn't exist, and it's like, that's not including them in the comedy. That's being an arsehole. And I really sort of stewed over a lot of those jokes for a long time, and you don't want to do the thing of asking one trans person's permission to tell like 9 jokes about the whole trans community, because they're not a monolith. So I've met trans people who like all those jokes. I've met trans people who like some of those jokes. I've met trans people who like none of those jokes. And I think that feels okay to me, because like that feels more like a sense of humor thing. And the only people who ever came up after the show and complained were 2 cis white women in Liverpool. At the Hot Water Comedy Club, which I'm now banned from. But certainly not for the transgender jokes, I'll tell you how much.
Are you banned from there?
Yeah, they fucked up my tour show and turned away people who had tickets because they treat comedy shows like Ryanair flights. They oversell tickets to all their shows, and then if everybody turns up, then some people just don't get in. And they do get a refund, but it's also like, don't do that at my tour show. Like, do that to your own thing. But yeah.
That's very interesting, because when I toured there was plenty of seats. How does the conversation go if you said there's some trans people who don't like any? Because I don't mind telling you, I was like, some of the trans jokes about the voice, I was like, oh, I don't know where, I'm not trans, so I don't know. I can't feel it, whatever. I still feel like, oh, I don't know if I care for it or not.
Well, the old, are you talking about the old laugh? I'm not saying you can't make jokes about trans women. Of course you can make jokes about trans women. Here's one. I like hanging out with trans women. My favorite thing about hanging out with trans women is if you say something really funny, you get to hear their old laugh.
Well, yeah, that's I suppose the biggest trans joke in it. So, and like you said, some trans people liked none of the jokes. So what are those chats like?
The trans people I spoke to about it who didn't like it were very good about it. They just said like, oh, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
They weren't like, this is offensive or nasty or anything. They were like, it's just not my thing. And the old laugh joke does come from like, I think it's nice because it's a joke that comes from hanging out with trans people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a point of difference that I was... Because it is a decision you have to make by yourself at a certain point. Like, you can't just ask one person. You have to, like, have your own... And that was another thing. Like, I don't think I placed a value judgment on having an old laugh. It's sort of a fact of being a trans woman that you... the vast majority of them will try and, like, feminize their voice and heighten the pitch of their voice. And it was just a joke about the fact that, like, and the experience that I've had and been told about by actual trans people.
Yeah. I believe you that you know trans people. Sometimes you see those...
I know. Some of my best friends are trans.
You see them, yeah, you do see that though. It's like, loads of my mates are gay. And you're like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, which ones? You know what I mean? Anyway. Let's talk about autism, because you seem to love talking about that. Where are we at with that?
A world exclusive. 4 days ago, I got diagnosed with autism. and ADHD, which I'm not as big of a fan of. Because ADHD, and now that I have it, I can make the joke. That means toddler brain. That's what ADHD means. What happened? So does everybody fucking else.
You did interrupt. You know what I mean? You did. Yeah. That's part of it. That's part of it. No, you should. Everyone's welcome. Come on, it's Christmas. Join in. And how are you feeling? Are you relieved? Are you like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said all that shit now? Or like, how are you feeling?
Weird feeling, because it sort of recurringly happened over the tour that there was a lot of people with autism at the shows and sort of at the merch desk. And now that I have
this evening,
we love merch, the autistic community. But and what also turned out to happen is lots of autism practitioners, like professionals in the autism industry. They were at my shows, so 5 or 6 times over the course of the tour, somebody messaged me and said, oh, the NHS waiting list is really, really long for the assessment. I'll like assess you privately for free. And I just went to one of them who was like closest. So I've been going to Essex once every couple of weeks recently to get
add insult to injury. Yes.
Yeah, I know. But you get to get loads of trains to get there, which was a buzz. It's my community. Fucking shaking your head. Yeah, and it's I don't know. I think this is something that might come up again, and I don't, like I said in the show, don't want it to define me, but it is. It's literally 4 days ago, so I don't know what to make of it yet. It feels like it's been a very gradual process, but I feel like I'm figuring out what aspects of my personality have been authentically me, and what aspects have been me trying to present myself in a way that fits in or blends in with whatever else. And I don't know the answer to that question, and I haven't had the follow-up post-diagnosis appointment where they sort of signpost you to like different therapies and books and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Part of me also thinks that the word autism like won't be the medical term in like 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Because it's always like whatever the medical term is for like mental health disorders or disabilities, that gets co-opted by people just using it as like an insult or like a bit of fun or a bit of crack or whatever. And then doctors have to like move the goalposts and be like, right, we need a different word for that. Like lunatic used to be the medical term, idiot used to be the medical term, crazy used to be the medical term, and the R word used to be the medical term. But now, then it was used as an insult. And I feel like we're getting to that point with autism where people just use it very casually. And I think that's fine. I think that's just part of the sort of life cycle of mental health terminology. But I genuinely think it's sort of, it's losing any meaning. The word like autistic, it's because it's just like your mate who, you know, keeps his cutlery in separate bits in the drawer, like every fucker. Does everybody do that?
I think that's pretty common, that one.
Yeah.
But in the last few months, I know this is new, so thanks for talking about it or whatever, but in the last few months, or say, as you got closer...
Sorry, that was really funny.
I didn't mean to...
The or whatever is very funny.
Oh, sorry. Is that not good? I don't know. No, I'm scared. Okay, right now.
Wrote down all the reasons I think I have autism, sent it back to the doctor. He said that all looks good. I think it's because I wrote them in alphabetical order. He said, we're happy to proceed to the next phase of the process. I was like, I'm through to the 3rd round. I'm through to judges' houses of autism. He said, please don't call it that.
Over the last few months leading up to this, you're through judges' houses, you're in all those things. And there's a whole theme of the show and a thread of the show about figuring out or trying to figure out who you are and who am I. Were you kind of hoping, if I get this over the line, that might help inform that question?
I don't want to lean on anything answering the whole question. Like, I'm just like me, and that's like multitudes, and that's different every day. And there used to be a bit in the show where I would say, like, we're not who we are, we're who we choose to be. Like, you make decisions every single day that define who you are. It's just not, you don't just react to things instinctively every single time. Like, I don't think most people do that, but it's like, it's a series of active choices, and you can change who you are and you can become whatever you want to be. But Pierre Novelli is a very brilliant comedian who got diagnosed with autism in his 30s, and he wrote a great book called Why Can't I Just Enjoy Things? And he talks about it like, in terms of all of the issues he was having that led him to seek diagnosis, he talks, it's like the only duvet big enough to cover all of the sort of questions about your own life. And I don't know, I might read a few books and go, oh, this explains every single thing about me. But I sort of hope that's not the case. I hope there's more to me than just like this one thing.
Yeah, because I wondered about that question of who am I, how am I perceived by others. It's very high intensity to be a comedian and do that, and to be worried about those things. But I was like, is it also just that's what being in your 20s is about? Do you feel a bit like that as well?
Yeah, well, like I'm 29, and I guess that's a perspective that I would like to gain. Like I've heard a lot of people in their 30s and 40s say that, and be like, oh, you just don't know who you are in your 20s. And I guess that's sort of the purpose of like the special in a way, is to be that snapshot of where I was in my life and what I was struggling with at that moment. And maybe that just is what being in your 20s is like, and hopefully like in my 30s. But then I know people in like, you know, my mum quit her job and is now a bouncer in the last 3 years. She's in her 60s. So I think like it just, yeah, she's a bouncer at the SSE. It's fucking mad. And she like picks up these shifts at all different like events like around Belfast. And one of her first shifts was Cliftonville versus Glentoran. Don't do that one. But she's just forever telling people to stop vaping. Like that's her job. But this is the thing, like she's currently reinventing herself and like is learning French, and then joined the ukulele group around the corner from her house, and is sick of the ukulele, so is getting a mandolin because she wants to like do trad stuff. And it's like, I hope I'm massively different in 10 years, and then I hope I'm massively different again in 10 years after that, and just like always changing.
No, I think I agree. I think we are always changing. Does it annoy him when the other comedians will say that then? Oh, that's what it's like. That's your 20s. Does that like, oh, fuck off? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get really stressed out when people define themselves in very definite terms. They're like, I'm just like a grumpy guy, and I'm like, don't be. Like, why would you like lean? Like, why is that like your character trait of like, I'm sleepy.
Cheer up. Yeah. What was I going to ask? I think people are glad of that conversation, though. I think people your age and other ages are glad to hear other people doing that. You put lots of yourself in. You're vulnerable loads of different times in the show. Do you choose at the beginning, I want to do something where I talk about myself and be a bit revealing, or is that just what naturally comes out? Like when you think about making new stand-up?
I think it probably is what naturally comes out. I think the first work in progress I did, like only the very first one, when I started thinking about ideas for this show, was before I'd found out about the WhatsApp group thing. So in that month between the end of the Fringe and then finding out. And I think had I not found that out, it would have been a very different show. Because that was like, at the time that felt completely catastrophic. And then a month after the Edinburgh Fringe that year, I found out that most comedians don't like me. What happened was someone screen recorded a portion of my old podcast, and it got sent around lots of comedian WhatsApp groups. And they were being pretty nasty about me in those WhatsApp groups, kind of bullying me behind my back in those WhatsApp groups. In the podcast, I was talking about what it's like to have an unexpectedly good run at the Edinburgh Fringe. I was saying that people kept coming up to me, telling me I was the fucking guy this year. It was my year to be the guy. I'm the fucking guy. And I went on in the podcast to talk about how I was finding that quite stressful. Because a lot of these people that were saying these things, they hadn't even seen my show. They just heard this kind of buzz about it. And I felt this expectation building and building. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to live up to whatever they think this is going to be. I stopped feeling relaxed on stage. I got really, really anxious. I was having panic attacks before the show most days throughout the month. I said all of that in the podcast, but the clip they decided to take was, people keep telling me I'm the fucking guy this year. End of clip. I was in Belfast at the time when I found out, when that video went into the WhatsApp group I was in. And I remember I walked into my mum as like a 24 5-year-old or whatever, and went in and was just like, Mom, I think I'm being like bullied, which was like mad. And then you tour a show for such a long time and you work on a show for such a long time. Like there was 150 dates on the tour, and I run at the Edinburgh Fringe, but then 20 work in progresses in the lead up to that. So I've done that show nearly 200 times probably. And you tell those stories so much that they become like true in your head, but then you can doubt whether like the truth of them, or whether you just have started, or like you start to doubt your own memories. Like there's a story I used to do in this show which was about going to one of the Euros games at Wembley in London, and it's an amalgamation of attending the semi-final and the final of the Euros, but now that memory in my head is one match because I've told it so many times as one match. So I went into my mum sort of halfway through the tour and was like, I don't know if I'm sort of overstating how difficult I found that. And Mum was like, no, you lay down on the couch for 4 days and didn't really eat or talk to anybody or do anything. Like you completely collapsed inwards, and that there's various moments of that I want the show to be about what's going on with me. I think I'm an inward-looking comedian a lot of the time. I'm not like, look, isn't that funny that's happening in the news? Isn't that funny? Like, I can do that stuff every so often, but I think when it comes to the shows, I think it's an inherently introspective art form to me, and I want to just like keep sort of digging inwards. That's my instinct, and I don't know. I also think bigger, better laughs come from more vulnerability, more tension, because that's what I think is risky in stand-up. I don't think sort of your Jimmy Carrs or your Ricky Gervaises getting up and telling their edgy jokes. Like, I don't think there's any actual risk there. Whereas I think being actually honest and vulnerable and talking about things you find really difficult and have done wrong and have gotten wrong, I think that the risk is greater and the vulnerability is greater, therefore the tension's greater, therefore the release is better, and therefore the joke is better. It might not be as loud of a laugh, you don't get like lots of applause breaks, but it's like, I think it's a more meaningful laugh.
Those bits, are they harder to prepare? If you're talking about those, like you told us now, like that kind of primal thing of you just told your mother and then you lay down for a few days. You didn't tell us that in the show. Do you decide, are you careful about when you're revealing those things? Like I think we get the sense from the show that it really hurt you, like, and shocked you, and a combination of things, probably loads of feelings. Are you careful with how you put that back into the show, just to spread it out to people, or are you conscious of looking after yourself, or how do you plan that?
No, I don't think I'm conscious of looking after myself. I'm conscious of looking after other people. I don't like, if they don't want to be in the show, that's their sort of prerogative.
You got a list of names, I'm sure. You got like, here's the pricks who sent the video. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
Which is none of the comedians I make jokes about in the show. Actually, I don't know if it entered Michael McIntyre's WhatsApp group. But they're the hardest bits to write, because you can't, like all the other chunks of that show, you can sort of practice in a 15-minute set at Lavery's or at any comedy club. But you can't go on, if you've only got 15 minutes, and be like, so these people were so mean to me. And then it gets very heavy very, very quickly. So like they only exist in the work in progress and then change a lot throughout the tour. And like it's hard because there's some lines that don't get a laugh. And normally that's our metric for like, that's done. I have sort of chiseled that to where it needs to be chiseled to. The laugh is good. Whereas there's some lines that don't get a laugh, but you still have to mold them and shape them to be impactful in a different way. And it's learning how to feel that the audience has been impacted in a way that isn't sort of, it doesn't have a volume, it doesn't have a decibel level.
That would freak out loads of comedians. You're kind of ballsy, I think, about it, or gutsy, I should say now. What about like, I'll wait for another laugh in a little while, but I'll tell them this first. I think that's courageous for some comedians.
Yeah, I think there's a natural instinct of just get to the next laugh, just get to the next laugh. I think we're all guilty of that. But it also comes from like, I think it leads to bigger, better laughs.
I feel that we should get to another laugh soon as well. I feel like right now, I told you it would be too serious, and that it was.
Did a clown just leave?
We're under pressure. 150 times. That's the whole tour.
You were there at show 100 in Dublin.
That's right.
Something with balloons. It was good crack.
It was lovely. It was lovely, and still felt as exciting as the first time I saw it months before. Where is there? Does it go down better? I think I'm killing this. I don't care. Does it go down better in some places than others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason Oma isn't on this tour. It was fucking mad. So it was a crazy weekend where it was the first time we did Vicar Street. Was the Friday. Saturday was it was the Thursday was the first Vicar Street. Friday night was Oma. So like Vicar Street to 1,000 people, Oma Daly's Comedy Club to 95 people. And then the next night was the Ulster Hall for the first time to 1,100 people. And Vicar Street in Belfast, those first two times were like unbelievable, sort of like can't believe this just happened moments, and the shows went so well and were so meaningful. But in Oma, like I can't explain whatever's in your head worse. Because if you're thinking like, oh, they heckled loads and they were so rowdy, I wish they disrupted the show vocally at all and weren't just truly silent throughout both my support act and me for 90 minutes of a show, can I remind you, that ends with me screaming, pretending to come, and then taking my shirt off to pin drop silence above a pub in Oma. And there's some gigs where you go, no, that was your fault, audience. Like you should have at least met me halfway there. But the mad thing for me was that gig in Oma sold out months in advance. Do you know what I mean? Like they were excited on some level months before, but I just fuck Oma.
Oh, wow. It's hard to joke about that, really. What do you do after? The two of you then, he was rubbish and you were rubbish. Like, what do you do then?
We weren't rubbish. Just get out of Oma as soon as...
But was it fun?
As soon as what? No!
Because sometimes if you do a show, there's like four of you on in a pub or whatever, and for some reason everybody does crap some nights, and then they end up being really fun because you all have this shared experience. But, 90 minutes is quite a long time, I suppose.
The problem as well was the two comedians that I really look up to and think are brilliant live in Tyrone and came to the show. Mark McCartney and Aaron McCann stood at the back, and I'm just up there with sweat dripping off my nose going, fucking fuck. And just have to walk past them afterwards and go, look, yep, see ya. Didn't sell much merch that night. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong. I'm the last to blame the audience, but
it was them that time.
It's gone. I had to.
Yeah, one time out of 150. Fair enough. That's allowed. Yeah, you did well. We'll open up. Does anybody have any questions? Just for Vittorio. I know you're probably eager to speak to me as well. Yeah, here's one over here. Yeah, you
There's
go ahead.
There's a roving mic. I know it's a
in your
small
hand.
room, but we've been... There we go.
Just a question on where you talked in the show about finding that you were in your own community and you wanted to make your workplace that you're part of this community. And then when you find out that you're getting bullied in that community, what's the time frame for you to be able to make that funny and make that a thing that you want to share with people where you want them to have a good time?
That's a really interesting... I'm very, like, if something bad happens, I'm like, I would like to process this on stage. I think it's the way I sort of express myself best, and it's a way that I figure out how I feel about things, which is sort of weird in the presence of others. But I guess I found out... So the Fringe was August, I found out in September. And then I was very motivated to go back to the Fringe the next August and talk about it. Because I was like, I need people to know that that's not what it is. And I was chatting to my friend Janine Harouni, who's a really brilliant comedian, and she like mentioned the guy thing. And she was like, oh yeah, that's so crazy. And I was like, have I ever shown you like the surrounding 60 seconds of the clip? And she was like, no. And I showed it to her. And she went, oh, that's the opposite of what everybody thinks it is. And you can see it like in the video of the podcast, I'm like, which I almost put at the end of the credits, but the Pete Weber cameo was like way funnier than me having a breakdown in Edinburgh. I'm like, I'm clearly like really struggling in it. And I maybe hadn't quite comprehended like how much of the wrong end of the stick people had. And I think that was the real drive, that it was like, okay, here's the deadline. I need to go back to the Fringe. And like, it sounds so dramatic to be like, tell my side of the story, but that was the feeling at the time. So I guess it was that sort of 11 months, 10 months or whatever it is.
That following year, did you feel like you achieved that?
It was the most terrifying experience at the Fringe I've ever had, because number one, I went up to those same bars and green rooms and stuff and was surrounded by people that the year before I would have been like, isn't this class? Like, we're all mates and everything. And I was really, really, really scared. Also very aware that it was a moment for everybody else. It was just like the talk of the WhatsApp group for like a few weeks for them, whereas it had much longer lasting sort of ripples for me. And I was really worried when other comedians came and saw the show at the Fringe. But I had lots of really lovely moments where comedians came up and said like, oh, if you ever see me at a table full of comedians, like, you're always welcome, no matter who else is at that table. Which was nice, and I do feel like I've been welcomed back in by a lot of people, and there's some people that I will truly never speak to ever again. But some people were very supportive. Sarah Keyworth was really, really brilliant at the time. I know there's somebody that did actually stick up for me in the moment, and they've checked in on me regularly, basically since 2023, to be like, are you okay? Like,
you are that type of comedian, though, to keep an eye on making sure people are brought over to tables.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I feel like I'm much older than you, but I do feel very looked after by you.
Oh,
now I feel vulnerable. Okay, right.
No, that's nice. And maybe it's because that thing of like I know that's not nice to feel excluded. But I'm sure there's people that feel excluded.
Yeah. I think the Edinburgh Fringe is terrible and should be stopped. That's what I think. Any other questions? Yeah, you can go, front row.
Ooh, wait for the mic.
Wait for the mic.
What made you want to apply for an autism diagnosis?
That experience, and then numerous experiences where I walked away from a conversation going, I've paid that person a compliment, wasn't that good of me? And then I got a huge message from them the next day about how I made them feel like shit. So I was like, fuck, I'm misjudging this. What I think is like pleasant and nice is coming across and like hurting other people. And this is just the one person that's been like brave / like blunt enough to be like, no, you were being rude. And I was like, fuck, what if, I know, like also the experience of like being up there being like, oh, everybody's my friend, everybody's like, I'm the guy or whatever, and then realizing that people were making fun of me, that like feeling locked out of the world of everybody else's perception. But yeah, just that feeling of like I was socially bumping into people and not even realizing it. So and it's not that I want an excuse. That's one thing I really want to avoid. Like, I don't want people to let me be rude if I'm being rude. I just, the thing I wanted to solve is like if it makes them feel slightly less bad if I've said something like that has come across the wrong way, or if I've phrased it badly, I want them to be able to, for their own, like not that I'm allowed to be rude, that they're allowed to go, oh, he probably didn't mean that, so I don't need to feel as bad about what he just said. Hopefully, does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you ever thought of a plan for Pip?
I actually, as soon as I got the diagnosis, because I'm learning to drive at the minute, I was like, am I blue badgeable?
Get a Volkswagen Tiguan.
For free? That'd be fucking sick. Just me and William Thompson.
You're getting very comfy on the mics. We have to move on. You're getting very comfy. We'll go all the way to the back of the white t-shirt there. Women are also welcome to ask questions as well.
We did the only two women that spoke. We were like, shut the fuck up. Amplify
Just
women's
wait for
voices.
the microphone because that woman is very strict about it. So we'll just wait for that.
I guess in terms of you picking out the comedy in life, is it something that you notice in the moment when a funny situation is happening, or something that you pick up on in hindsight when you're looking back on it?
I think it's like sort of straight away. I think your brain gets like trained after like trying to write jokes for such a long time that you're just like, in the moment, you're like, oh, this is funny. Even if it's devastating, on some level, you're like, this is funny. There's something funny about this. So even in those moments of like being, depressed on my mum's couch, I was like, this is gonna be funny. A little bit. Do you find the same? Like it's like very.
Yeah, I now I stop conversation if I'm having in the pub, whatever, having the crack, and then I go, actually, wait, no, hold on. And I just stop in the middle of anecdotes and stuff because I'm like, oh, I need that, save that. Yeah.
I find it tricky to be like conversationally funny now, because like my mates that aren't comedians, like that I grew up with, anytime I say something funny, they go, "Are you fucking trying a bit?"
Yeah.
And I'm not. I am just a funny man.
No, I know, man. Did you have one as well? The mic is gone, is it?
First off, I love the Pete Weber bits. I got them, both of them, immediately. So, and on that, is there anything that you have sort of thought was like hilarious or wanted to kind of make a bit about, but thought that not enough people in like the audience would get it or understand it, or that it would hit, like basically like a really niche bit of, humor or whatever?
I have the perfect example in my head, I think. So, have you heard of Arthur Sackler? Yeah. See, one guy. So the Sackler family, the kings and queens of Big Pharma, and there's a book about them called Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe, who also wrote Say Nothing. And shout out to the rat. And Arthur Sackler, this guy who like gets very rich off Big Pharma and very corrupt business, and then his children sort of become way more evil than him with Oxycontin and stuff. But one of his big things when he got loads of money was to just buy loads and loads and loads of Chinese art. Like that was just, he became obsessed. He owned a wing at a museum in New York, and all the exhibits of like the Chinese art, like they were his possessions, and he just like impulsively order all this like Chinese art. And I really wanted to do a bit like where I was doing Arthur Sackler, but it's like Big John, the Bosch guy, who orders big Chinese takeaways. Well, I want 2 Ming vases, I want Bosch. But it's a long walk for a bad joke.
Do you have a question? Yeah, go on. This will be the
final question. Here we go.
No pressure, but
microphone arriving.
There's a lot of pressure. I was just wondering, did you ever get an apology or an explanation as to why comedians were so willing to take the clip at face value? The clip about you being the guy.
No, and I don't want that. I think in any industry or any social setting, people are mean about each other behind their backs. That's not going to change ever, and I think that's okay. I think I've been mean about. We all bitch about other people, and we all sort of like talk badly of other people. We shouldn't, but like we do, and I don't demand that from people. And I think I would be waiting a long time because it wasn't a big thing to them, so they maybe don't think that it like needs that or whatever. I've had people be like kind and seem to be very actively like looking out for me. That seems to be sort of, and the nicer they are, I'm like, what did you say in the WhatsApp group? Like, but I think I would waste a lot of brain space waiting for them to apologize when I know I'm guilty of the same thing.
Thanks everybody for asking questions. It's not easy, so well done everybody who asked questions.
Everybody in the room gets like a little goodie bag of merch that my mum doesn't want in her house. So it's like a tote bag with the picture of me smoking the cigar on it, a poster of the show, and a little badge that says "I am the guy" on it, which is a good bit. And if you could wear that to other comedian shows, that would be fucking sick. I would appreciate that. I was like, oh, and then I'll sell vinyls afterwards. And my mum was like, you know, you only have one vinyl in the whole house. So I have one vinyl, and I was really hoping you would pick best question and give them the vinyl.
Oh, I'll be quite frank, I didn't understand it, but you all found it very funny. Whatever that second question you asked, what was that about?
Pip,
I don't know. I'm from down below. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
It's like disability benefits, personal independence payments for disabled people.
We just don't have that. Okay, Grant. Right, you are the winner, so collect your prize from Connell at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, Vittorio Angelone!
Oh, and if anyone wants anything fucking signed, I can do that, or pictures or whatever. I'll just be over by the door. Thank you so much for coming. This was weird and mad, but you're all very cool. Thank you.